Good evening and welcome back to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How you doing? Sorry about that. We had to push it back because StreamYard went down, wasn't working with Brave, and then they messed with my camera. I bought a new camera, and then that camera wasn't working, so I had to push everything back, and now I'm streaming on Chrome with StreamYard. It's a pain in the ass. It really is. I'm looking at a new platform called Riverside. Seems pretty good, offers a lot more, and it's a little bit cheaper, and I'm really thinking about going there. I just don't like the way things have been happening lately with StreamYard and been working with, my situation. I found that a lot of the problems that I've been having is because of StreamYard. It's not necessarily Brave or Google Chrome in some way. It's just, the way StreamYard works doesn't work well with Brave at all. So I'm sorry about that. I apologize again. And that's why we pushed the show back. I pulled it all. I had a different title, but I kept the Sunday soundbites. Tonight's title, Masterclass in Pointless Bloodletting, Anon, Schisms, Divide, Conquer, and Betray. There's so many good stuff. I had a great title about the infighting that's going on, and we'll cover that tonight. Welcome in Pill.net and Rumble. We're not on YouTube tonight. I'm looking about maybe streaming from multiple other sites. If I go to this other one, Riverside, because I think in some way YouTube they're going to pull the plug on my thing, and they're already dinging me left and right, and I'm just tired of it. So I didn't really want to do anything on YouTube tonight. It's just Rumble. It's just Pill.net. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Help out and support the platform. We're moving on into other ways. I want to get into it tonight. Welcome in, Curious Cat. Thank you for the cookie. Darlell, what's up? I got your responses on Pill.net. That was funny. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I know. Everybody's going to come in later. I know it still says 7:30, but I made sure to let everybody know it's 9 o'clock. I didn't have time to do this, that, the other thing. So I want to move forward. I want to get going with tonight's, let's just say, endless craziness. Yeah, we're well under attack for some reason. Well, YouTube has just been brutal, Darrell. It's been brutal to me. I mean, honestly, Friday's show was great. I don't think I said anything that was even, let's just say controversial, or let's put it this way, even in a pejorative of using certain words like the N-word or other things. I didn't even use that. I didn't even talk about other stuff, and they still ding me. And I'm just like, they're just going to ding me left and right. So I said, fuck it. I'm not going to air there tonight. I'm already dealing with StreamYard problems about airing with the camera. I bought this one camera that was just awesome. It's pretty expensive, and I returned it today because it wasn't functional with StreamYard, wasn't functional with Brave or whatever, and I'm just going a different route. This Riverside I'm going to look at. It's a new streaming platform that's out for a while, and looks like it's more viable. So if you're listening, StreamYard, make it worth my while. Fix my fucking problems, or you know what? Give me a fucking rebate. If not, I'm out. I'm bouncing. All right, so tonight's show. So there's a whole, situation that is unfurling that's happening on X that is all over the place. And you know what? I'm going to break it down in a little bit. I don't really have too many talking points about that, but I have a lot of the show. There's a lot of divide, conquer, and stratagem that's going on. We see that Rubio versus Vance, that a lot of people on both sides are pushing this knife fight. It's a lot of noise, a lot of pandemonium, a lot of wild, loosely disorder and confusion. And it's purposely driven, by the same people that are pushing an alt-right alternative to President Trump. The backstabbers, they're the traitors. They're, in some way, these are the people that are self-immolating themselves. Are Anons cannibalizing other Anons? Well, it seems like that. Again, is the alt-right eating itself? I think so. And then choking on the bones thereafter. The ongoing public autopsy of the right. Loomer versus Michael Flynn. Larry Loomer versus Michael Flynn. Even the trash is fighting over the dumpsters. Wow. Brought to you by the production of Loomer and Flynn. How to lose friends and alienate allies. These are just kind of the quips that I'm trying to make because I just want to paint you a picture as we get through. But I want to move on with other discussions today. I wanted to start the show at our normal time, but obviously I couldn't do that. So let's continue on. I got a lot of other stuff. I just want to. Oh, why is that there? Why is that there? Okay, let's find out why that's there. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay, let's share. Okay, here we go. So I want to get into some of the big stuff that is happening tonight, or that happened last night into today, and then we'll roll into other stuff. Yeah, for everything you do to help spread the show. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Thea. Thank you, Darlell, for the can. Well, telling you like it is comes with the price. Yep. Yeah. Well, you know what? It doesn't. Sometimes you draw the short end of the stick sometimes, and it happens. And there's nothing you could do. You just keep on trucking. Thank you, Thea, for the 300 gold pills, and Darlell for the can. Let's continue on. So President Trump calls. We're just going to blow through certain things. I'm gonna do my normal time, hour and a half, 2 hours. So I'm not running away from conversations. If you want to stay around a little later tonight, President Trump calls off the attack in Iran, announces parameters of this deal in some way. The USA is locked and loaded, ready to go against Islamic Republic, and all of a sudden now we're walking away from this. Whatever this means, I don't know, and I think it's some way, whatever the bluster, the bravado, all the hullabaloo that is surrounding this. President Trump is basically using this type of rhetoric to force a deal, get something in play. But some people were really worried that something was going to happen. U.S. was locked and loaded, ready to go against the Islamic Republic and Iran at levels never seen before. A military terror, strength, power, blah, blah, blah. Despite this, we've just been asked by Iran and Middle Eastern countries to hold off. So multiple European, Middle Eastern countries told President Trump, hold off, relax, wait a minute. The country of Israel, which is really the state of Israel, joins me in this commitment. Get to work, everybody. Get it done, blah, blah, blah. President Trump announced Saturday night that he will cancel a pending attack. Look, it's back and forth. I guess we're winning for multiple times over. So every time that he makes this, well, we won it again and we won it again. We don't know what we want. I mean, I don't know what type of prize we won at the carnival, but it seems like every time we're back at this situation, it's another Cupid bear for us in some way. So whatever happened got other than Middle Eastern partners up in a uproar, and they said, listen, let's slow down here. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman spoke to President Trump on Saturday, cautioning him against conducting a fresh round of strikes on Iran. U.S. embassies settle Middle Eastern countries, including Amman, Jordan, Jerusalem, Baghdad, warned American citizens on Saturday night, beware of unforeseen escalation. So are they worried about all this other attacks in some way? And President Trump has helped driving the narrative up that we're going to hit them harder and that the retaliation would come about and, whatever. And that they would have to do their part, toe their line in some way to do something. So during an interview with Laura Trump on Saturday, Secretary of State Rubio discussed the ongoing situation with Iran. Let's play a little bit of this. Okay, so I mean, we've heard this rhetoric before. We understand this. We understand what's going on. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, we're pushing forward in some way. Maybe there will be a resolution to this situation. I'm not really sure. I don't know what's going to take place. But I mean, we seem to deal with these types of things, almost on a weekly basis. I don't know what that means, what that portends to. I mean, again, we're just spinning our wheels every time that we see these types of things that are generated out there. So, like I said, I'm not really worried about the situation in Iran anymore because I think when it comes to, it's now becoming a farcical situation. It's becoming almost like untethered in a lot of ways. There's a lot of whole people out there on YouTube and on X and many other people that are pushing the narrative that we're going to have a draft and supplanting this nonsense all the time. The alt-right and many other people, the Candace Owens, many other people are suggesting in this some way, getting people hot and heavy. I also saw Nick Fuentes say that, and many other people. But again, generating this narrative that we're going to have a ground incursion, and it's sweeping up. And this is why I think a lot of people, it's like a Quinnipiac poll I saw was like 6 out of 10 don't like this Iran war, and they think that this is problematic for the midterms. Let me tell you something. You know what's problematic for the midterms? The DSA, okay? The Democrat Socialists of America, okay? They're problematic. And that's why the numbers, even though they might move or portend into a negative light, they don't really shine on the bigger picture, because you rather stick with Trump or the Republicans nevertheless. And nonetheless, because of the fact is, some of these people that are, let's just say, suggesting all these things are batshit crazy. As Bill Maher is pointing out, we'll cover that later. I just want to cover this real briefly. I saw this. Let's see. Let me generate this. And I saw this. And this is the other artifice that's being thrown out there, that's being hurled out there against President Trump. Again, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of betrayal, a lot of two-faced stuff, a lot of things that are being thrown out there. The Marco Rubio knife fight, the punch up at the wedding with him. So a lot of these things that are unfurling out right now as we speak, they're undercutting the administration. We're getting closer to the midterms if we have them. So let me just put it this way. President Trump, this comes from Axios. President Trump doesn't care now about the Republicans if they lose the House or the Senate in the midterms this fall. Do you believe that? He's raised quite a bit of money for them in some way. So Axios, a negative left-leaning garbage rag, is pushing this out and saying he'd prefer a big win. But he seems indifferent to the election and the possibility of endless Democrat investigations of his family, wealth, and policies. His closest advisors tell us. Really? You don't say. A big reason Trump knows he'll emerge just as strong or even stronger heading into his final 2 years, at least among Republicans. That may be true. But Trump will enjoy a more pro-Trump Republican Congress, win or lose, gleefully play 28 kingmaker, and further test the boundaries of presidential power beyond legislating his preferred method anyway. He'll use pardons to protect his people, the advisors say. Okay, that's not so off. I mean, I could see that. A more MAGA Senate, almost all his critics will gone through a defeat or retirement. So there's going to be a lot of new faces in there. Hopefully, the Republicans can pull it off if they keep the Senate. Trump royalist Mike Lee, Ron Johnson, Rick Scott will chair committees. That's going to be big. More MAGA House. Trump already serves as a de facto speaker, but his few outspoken GOP critics, Thomas Massie, who's gone, MTG, who's gone, were replaced by members who won because of them. A 28 kingmaker. Trump's firm hold on the base means he will dictate GOP's nominee and shape their message he wants. Advance Rubio ticket, and he will likely get it if his mind doesn't change. See, that's why so many people are pushing back on this narrative. They are uncomfortable with the idea of pairing these two together, because a lot of people think they are diametrically opposed. You saw Bosovic with Tucker Carlson talking about this in some way and saying, when all of a sudden did we all start liking Marco Rubio? When did that monkey come off his back? When did he in some way happen to what? Become the Marco Rubio that we all see today? Well, maybe the blackmail's gone. Maybe that he doesn't have these types of things that are on his back. I saw another article that was suggesting, President Trump supported who? Lindsey Graham? And look what happened to him. And Mitch McConnell. And look what happened to him. Do you want that support from President Trump when it means that you could disappear into the ether? Now, I'm totally being facetious in some way. But he did support those two people. And look where they are today. Okay? And just keep that in mind. So a 28 kingmaker, Trump holds a firm hold on the base and means that he will dictate the GOP's nominee and shape their message. He wants Vance Rubio. Yep. Cashing in, Trump will use his levers of power to keep raising money and expand his clout beyond his presidency. Look, if we don't have an election, I'm fine with it. If we do, I don't think we're going to lose both chambers of the House. I think that we'll pick up in the Senate. I don't know what it's going to be in the House. All right, that's completely my take. I think we will pick up in the Senate. I think it'll be beneficial in a lot of ways. The House, that's up in the air about a lot of things. But the point being that Massie and MTG and many of these other people that are being replaced, all right, by Republicans that President Trump picked or basically hat-tipped in some way, they're going to take those positions and probably win those roles rather well. And that will be good in some way to benefit and to foster and promote MAGA in general without having this bifurcation, separation, delusion of illusions. I don't know what to call it. America first, America this, America last. I don't know why these people use these types of lexicon to describe certain positions they're in. I don't think they actually benefit anybody in some way. They're only doing it in some way to instill fear, to divide you, to conquer you, and yes, to betray what was created, what we all fought for, what we all considered to be the right thing, and what we're doing moving forward. So let's continue on with that. Let me get at it. I don't know why this keeps popping up like this. Big picture. All right. So we got more here and stuff. I see you guys coming in. Rob Stickler, what's up? Welcome in. Darla, thank you for the cookie. We didn't hear it. No sound. There's no sound. You're saying there's no sound. Let me say right now. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie. Hold on. Hello, check. Yeah, we got sound. It's working. Everything's good over here. So no show then today. Is everybody hearing me? Hello. Glad you made it on, Brett. 5x5. The show is on right now. Can you guys hear me? I'm playing music. I'm playing everything. So I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on anymore. All right, let me continue on. Thank you, Sean Joe. Thank you. Someone responded. Okay. All right. We're only here on Rumble, and I've decided not to air for YouTube because of many other reasons in some way. Yeah, no sound on the first clip. The Rubio clip had no sound. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Let me continue on. If you're not hearing the sound on these clips, let me know because I can hear them. So I will play it again in some way. All right. Let's moving on. So the Last Refuge puts this out. I don't know why that didn't happen. Let's see. Window. Let's see if that works in some way. Entire screen. Okay. Okay. Let me put this up here. So Rubio's change. This comes from the Last Refuge. I'll blow this up a little bit, and you can see this. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I really had it. I've just had it with StreamYard because they're basically fucking me left and right. Has Rubio changed, or is he playing the game or pretending to change? That is a great question. I'm not sure, however. What boggles my mind is that Rubio is very available to the media and alt media, and not a single person has ever outlined the background and asked them that question. I'm often amazed by the shallowness and the lack of intellect from pundits, medias, and folks, and the insufferable podcasters, but nothing is as stunning as the absence of the question I've been waiting for to write for weeks. In my opinion, do you believe he really changed, or is he just giving you the illusion of change? Now, that's an interesting point. I mean, that's why a lot of people don't trust. That's why you have this. Do you trust Tucker Carlson, Jack Posobiec, and many of these other people out there on the alt-right, the America First crowd that are planning and plotting in some way? They have no viability, no control. They're losing on a daily basis. Do you trust their judgment over this, or do you trust President Trump's judgment? Whether or not either one of those two will be the kingmaker in the future, will be the people in position in some way to replace President Trump. And I still think President Trump could possibly get 2 more years. I don't know where we're going to go with that. But the idea that we're still fighting about this in a lot of different ways, really, I just don't understand why people are just like completely, they're having problems seeing the situation now. They're not really understanding what is happening. I think that this is a wedge because they think that there'll be a formidable, let's just say, partnership if they were to team up together in some way. But look, I'm not worried about it in any way. I'm not worried about it because, look, President Trump has not said about any one of them. He hasn't talked about any one of them. And the fact that we're still 2 years away, wait till after the midterms, that's when things will heat up. But there's a sense on a certain side where a lot of these people are picking J.D. Vance and wanting to have a fight, a knife fight out in some ways. And they want to draw this out to people's attention and say, when were you? I mean, I agree. I was never a Marco Rubio fan, I was never a Marco Rubio fan. Has he done a great job since he's been Secretary of State? Is in some way the certain monkey is off his back, the blackmail, the control, whatever was there that he was about. Is it just being in the Senate in general that is a controlling mechanism? Have you ever thought about that? The Senate alone, okay, is this unbearable, let's just say immutable, just garbage freaking shithole. I mean, look what it is now. You can't even pass the Save America Act. You see how these people leverage to the hilt. All right, so is it really about the person per se, or is it about the person in the situation they're in? Is he shining as Secretary of State? Yeah. J.D. Vance is doing a good job. I mean, all these guys are doing a good job per se. It doesn't really matter. But they're trying to make it out in some way. Well, remember when he was in the Senate? Remember this. Do people change? Remember when he went up against President Trump? I don't know. I don't really care. It really doesn't affect me. It shouldn't affect you. And I think the fact is that all they're trying to do is toggle people into what? Continue the people to fight, to get into this brouhaha over what? And again, this is what I was saying and stuff. They want to what? Have a slow motion of suicide. All right, that's the pandemonium that is taking place. All right, let's move on because I got so much more to go. I got to jump on it. If we're not 5x5 on Rumble, let me know. All right. I mean, I don't know why. Everybody else over here on X says we are, but let me know if you have any problems hearing anything. I don't know. It's not me. It's probably StreamYard. Let's see if this is going to play. Now, if you have a problem hearing this, let me know. Okay, let me lower the music. So we're going to get into a couple other things regarding what? RFK basically slamming. I mean, not in a good way. You know, the term slamming someone like a female like Dana Bash, I don't know if that's good or bad, but he slammed her into oblivion, and it was fantastic. It was glorious. I think everybody needs to see it. Dana Bash freaks out over RFK Jr. Trolling her, and that she was part of the problem and the media coverage. Let's play this a little bit. This is fantastic stuff. You're not hearing this? There's no sound with this. Clip's muted. Okay. Let me see. I don't know what's going on. This is the problem we face today. This is the problem I face today. Yeah, that's what I thought. But you guys can't hear it. That's great. That's just fucking great. Yeah, I'm going to burn down StreamYard. I'm going to fucking take a fucking flamethrower to them. Light these fuckers up. What the fucking hell? All right, let's try it again. Let's see if I can share this in a window. Let's see. You can't do it in a Chrome tab. Let's see here. Oh, what the hell is that? What is going on? Yep. There's the fuckery. That's the fuckery I've been facing. Wow. I can't even. Wow. See, I can hear it. I don't know why you guys can't hear it. I don't know why you guys can't hear it. Already heard it, although it was good. So you guys can't hear this. Okay, you guys can't hear it. Let me know. So already heard it, though it was good. No volume. There's nothing I could do about it. So I'll just basically, I'm not going to be able to play clips. I don't know what's going on. Again, this is why I'm in this situation with StreamYard. I'm basically done with them. Going to be moving on with them. They're a problem. They're a problem. They're a disease. They're my cancer. They're eating me inside and out. I'll just have to cover some of the stuff, and we'll have to go over it, in some way. But it's sad that I can't play clips. I mean, I thought I could, but yeah. I guess I'll have to just go over and conversations with certain things. All right, I guess I won't play any of that. All right, moving on. Getting to some of the other deep stuff that I wanted to talk to, but apparently none of my clips are playing, so I'll just move on rather quickly. That's terrible, but yep. And that's the problem I face. Okay, let's see. So I'm not going to play this clip because I'm surprised it doesn't want to play. Screen 3. Also share audio. Oh, let's see. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. I'm trying. I'm braving through this. So you guys saw all that stuff with Bobby Kennedy, right? All that stuff today. I'm going to try and play it. Let's see. Can you hear this now?
Causes problems for people when there is not anything.
Let me ask you something.
Can you hear this now?
Your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and it is
like a parrot. You're repeating it like a parrot. I've actually read the science.
So he's calling her the Mockingbird media. Yeah, it was a slight tweak. I took care of it. Thank you guys for your response. Thank you, Sean Joe, for the cookie. So basically, he's there with Dana Bash, slamming her again, calling her a parrot, calling her and accusing her. You're part of the problem. It wasn't just Fauci, okay? Fauci was just the mouthpiece, okay? You had Deborah Birx attacking him too. You had Pharma and Pfizer. You had Big Pharma and Pfizer and Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. All of them what? On all these platforms promoting the jab, paying their salaries, increasing their wages. And what he's saying is you had a responsibility. You chose not to do anything about it. In fact, you created what? A poison pill, a fear porn scenario, a paralysis that basically stunned and shunned the country. You are as much responsible for what COVID is that lies at the feet of Dr. Fauci. That was the point. That is exactly the conclusion that he's trying to draw here. And she cannot take it. All of these people cannot take it. They can't eat their shit and just die. That's their problem. They can't. They're not going to go away. All right. You have to force them into submission. You have to shame them into some ritualistic scenario where it's so ugly what RFK is doing. If he had a better voice, he would basically be spitting at her. I mean, honestly, it was so good.
You don't want to come back here and debate this.
I'm not debating this view.
Of course you are.
No, because I'm not debating.
All you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's
exactly
during COVID.
They got paid too. Yes, they did.
Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts, and now you're rolling out the experts again.
Yes.
Not just that,
something that you
forcing
have no
people
personal knowledge of.
Okay,
to take something that was a known poison, a toxin.
Your job is to
am I allowed to talk? Yes, and my job is to get
and you failed at it
as I can.
You fucking failed at it.
What we were doing,
skepticism.
What we were doing in COVID. And still,
look, she's
flustered. With regard
flustered.
to these vaccines,
she's flummoxed.
Getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
So they can't see. That's the problem. They can't admit this. They just can't. They will never admit this in some way. See, that's the problem. That's the sad part of this in some way. I don't know what it's going to take to remove these fucking people. I really don't know what it will take in some way. They're never going to capitulate. They're never going to admit this, that they were wrong, that they in some way were what? What were they doing in some way? They were fostering a narrative that was a lie from the get-go. Not just a narrative that was a lie as a get-go. It was a poison pill. Okay? What they did to this country, to the American public, by keep selling that narrative and then basically shunning and shaming people for not taking a jab that supposedly is going to save your life, when in fact it did the quite opposite. It killed people in a lot of different ways. They are wholly responsible. I saw these polls out there saying, well, Dr. Fauci, in some way, all right, we should give him some immunity and stuff. He's already have a pardon. So why does he need other immunity? They just want to give him immunity because he knows states like Florida, Mississippi, Texas, many other states, Louisiana, are all going to go after him, all going to sue his ass. And good. I hope they sue his ass into oblivion. Now, does that bring in Big Pharma? Does that bring in NIH? You could see lawsuits for decades upon decades, brought to you by Pfizer. Exactly. Everything was brought to you by Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Moderna, you name it. They were all involved, all complicit, paying the salaries to what? The Mockingbird media, working in what? Cahoots and collusion with the CIA. They knew exactly what they're doing. They're never going to walk this back. They're never. Unless you find some way we could start suing people in a class action lawsuit when there's actual hammers that are going to be dropped. I don't know if these people are ever going to be removed in some way, but they should be. They should be removed. And you know what? They should be held accountable and liable exactly and equivalently, just like Dr. Fauci. Because what? All they did was parrot his same lies. Okay? He lied to them. He lied to all of us. And they said they ran with it. They said, that sounds good. Let me say that. Let me sell that more. And then while we're doing it, my salary gets bumped up because, you know what? Pfizer and other groups are coming here, want to unload money. And I went from what? 5 million to 10 million. That's what it was. That was all it about. They don't care about anything. She didn't give a shit about anybody. Yes. Vigilante justice. Don't speak my language. Please don't speak my language. Here's another one. Okay. And I'll share this with you. This comes from, I'm glad the sound, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I want to make sure the sound's on because the sound, I don't know why they're doing it, but in some way the sound keeps getting turned off. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yep, see? Yep. Let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, because I don't want to play it and there's no sound. So if I do play some, just tell me, and it's a click of a button now. Now the button appears. You know, it's like, now the button appears. I wonder why. Because I'm leaving. RFK Jr. tells CNN Dana Bash, in order to prepare for the next pandemic, we have to first acknowledge that we did virtually nothing. Of course, now that we did nothing, we helped what? We helped what? Foster this stuff. We helped create this stuff. All right. She talks about guardrails. All right. That stuff was what? Never done, never thought about in some way. No one thought about, hey, should we play around with super viruses in case they just escape? Think about how many viruses that have been unleashed onto us. All right. The toxicity of the problems that we face with tick bites, with you name it. With AIDS, with everything, herpes, super gonorrhea, you name it, came out of a lamb that they created that they were fucking around with. Absolutely. Lyme disease, another big one. All right, let's continue. Let me know if it doesn't play.
How do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives. There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite.
How do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean,
all right, let me get out of here. So I guess it's not playing on Rumble. I don't know why it's not. So I apologize. Go sign up to pill.net. That's the only show we have over there tonight. I'm not playing it on Rumble. On YouTube. So I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. So if everybody that was over there on Rumble, I'm sorry. Go sign up to pill.net. It is what it is. It's just the problems keep getting worse and growing, and I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know if I'm going to do this much longer. I have to switch another platform. That's the problem. StreamYard is killing me. It's a fucking Achilles heel. Just sign up to pill.net. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, and I'm not on YouTube tonight for a reason, and I guess it's not working. They hate us. They want us all dead. Yeah, I do. So, yeah, that's it. There's nothing I could do. All right, so I guess Rumble's not working. I'll have to pull that after the show tonight. All right, let's move on to a couple of things. So here is a lot of people talking about this conversation that a lot of people want to have. I don't want to have it in some way. Why do you want to give this guy in some way immunity? Now, there's a whole thing about this in some way. 87%. Let's play a little bit of this.
Okay, there's the poll results so far. 31,308 have voted. Healthy vote. Should the Senate grant Dr. Fauci immunity in exchange for his testimony? 87% want to see this. All right, I'm in the majority. First time in a couple of weeks, I think. Social media reaction. You can find me on all the usual platforms. Follow me on X, where this comes from. Check out the YouTube content, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. Why should he need immunity if he's done nothing wrong? Ray, the reason he needs immunity, even if he's done nothing wrong, perhaps you missed the opening commentary where I ran through all of those Trump, legal opponents who have found themselves on the receiving end of a subpoena or an indictment or, fill in the blank, many of them without merit. At least, many without merit, maybe all without merit. And I made the case at the outset of the program that, President Trump, let me offend all of you. I'll do this quickly. Should not have been indicted 4 times. He got elected because he was indicted in part 4 times. And the case that helped him the most is the hush money case for which Alvin Bragg hasn't been targeted. Probably because the president recognizes the value that Bragg unintentionally was providing to him. He told CPAC, I will be your retribution. He has been on a personal, vengeance tour ever since he got back into the White House. And Dr. Fauci, I'm sure, didn't want to end up on that list, regardless of what he's.
Okay, so I mean that makes sense. Like apparently, I'm told that Aloha Mom says that it's working over there on YouTube. Good, is it? That's great. I don't know. It's not working on Rumble. Again, I've had between Friday night after the show, Saturday. Literally, I've been in this fucking office left and right. I've been playing Russian roulette with a bottle of scotch, thinking, what do I do? Because fucking StreamYard has fucked me 6 ways from Sunday. It doesn't work. It's not working. It doesn't work with this. It doesn't work with that. And now it's not working with Rumble. And that's why I pushed it back. So apparently YouTube is working and Pill is. Look, everybody sign up to pill.net. I mean, it's the only platform that seems to work that I don't even have a fucking problem with anymore. But, you never know anymore. You never know what's going on. And there's not much I could do about it. I mean, hopefully Monday I can get this all squared away, figure out where we're going to go. With this, I'm looking into another platform. I am. Another platform to work from, another streaming platform that is not going to be compromised. And I believe that StreamYard's been compromised. It has. It hasn't been right for a while. It's like it's like a three-legged dog, I mean, it only runs when it needs to or has to. Happy Sunday. Yeah, Miss Darlell. Yep. Good to see everybody out there. Let me see if I can bring in over YouTube over here. Sean Joe, thank you for the cookie. Darlell for the can. Divide and conquer is the last thing. Hold the line. No sound on your clips, Brett. Well, they're playing now, right? Super D, thank you for the cookie. Must have been early. Wood USA, what's up? Thank you for the 219 gold pills. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Let's continue on. Well, it should be working now. Yeah, it should be working now. Let me know because I'm going to play this. And this is not working right now. You should hear the sound. So Anna Casperin says, when did the pandemic begin? I had too much trust in our institutions. I don't know why. Did you have too much trust in your institutions? I didn't. Before the pandemic started, I didn't. I understand that Trump in some way gave us hope and belief and some comfort in some way, but I still didn't trust Homeland Security, the Homeland Department of Homeland Agency. I mean, after 9/11, we know what that was. The FBI. Did you trust that agency? I still don't trust that agency. How about the CIA? What agency before COVID, and I'm not wrecking Anna Kaspern in any way, but I find it comical that someone would say that, well, before the pandemic, I had so much trust in institutions. Can you name what institution that you're referring to? Because there's not many in the United States government that I trusted from the get-go or ever. So I don't understand. Let me know if it's not playing.
That I think the conservative Americans were correct about, especially as it pertained to the pandemic, was questioning authority and questioning our institutions. When the pandemic began, I had too much trust in our institutions. I have now switched over to having zero trust in our institutions. And when you have zero trust in our institutions, you're more likely to land at the accurate information. The one thing that
What's your thoughts about that? I mean, did you hear that? No, when you think for yourself, you see they're all corrupt. It's all a lie. Exactly. I mean, I don't know why anybody would suggest in this matter that you could trust any institution whatsoever. I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything. Hell, I don't even trust the fact that my fucking StreamYard platform is going to fucking work from day by day. I mean, seriously, it's like playing Russian roulette. I don't know if I'm going to get the bullet or not. But that's what it seems like lately. Now Rumble's not working. YouTube's working. I don't know. Whatever. All right, moving on. I gotta continue on. You guys are here, so let's just yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to a little Bill Maher. Bill Maher talking about the communists and stuff. I don't know if anybody saw this stuff in some way, but Bill Maher had made some comments. If you were hearing the sound, no, when you think for yourself, good. Okay, good. As long as you're hearing the sound, let me know. All right. Okay, he says this. So Bill Maher came out swinging this weekend. He says, even this idiot gets it. Democrats are cooked.
This crowd literally wants to get rid of our form of government, the Senate, but also, and I quote, replace the president and Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress. Yeah, no biggie. Just taking the very essence of our government, which is three branches checking each other and shit-canning 2.5 of them. Who could be this nuts? I'll tell you who. Morons who are still wearing COVID masks in 2026.
Wow. Wow. Bill Maher seeing the light.
This photo is from the DSA meeting in Denver 3 weeks ago. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Since the far left, the far, far left, is overwhelmingly made up of affluent, ultra-woke white people, you raised your kids wrong. You told your precious brats that every brain fart was genius, and now those brain farts are becoming Democratic Party policy.
Yep. He's got a point. At least he's recognizing the problem that we all face. And it's not just him. It's not just the Democrats on his side. We're all facing this. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, we're like less than 90 days out from the election. It's August, September, October. So we're about 80-something days out. I don't know what's going to happen in some way. If we're going to even have an election, I hope we don't. That's my thing. I hope we don't. I think something's going to happen, an October surprise, where the communists rise up and they realize that, hey, they're not going to win the fucking election, and they go what? BLM style batshit crazy. And then we have to get our what? Citizen vigilantes out there? Or does the actual what? Marines show up, the actually military shows up, the National Guard, and has to put this quell down in some way? I don't know. I look forward to it. Why not? Why at this point, what difference does it make, right? As Hillary Clinton once said, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, there's a lot of people that want to see things kinetic. I do. I'm tired of sitting around and talking about shit. I mean, there's people fucking murdering, raping, killing, shooting each other. Why not? I mean, I want to sit back, have a couple of scotches, smoke my cigar, and watch some people get blown away by National Guards that when they're burning down buildings, communist rat bastards, knowing they're going to lose the election. Or they try to start burning down polling booths, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to come after polling booths, okay, in a very large contingent, okay, in very blue city-state fiefdoms, controlled Philadelphia, New York, Connecticut, Chicago, you name it, LA. It's going to get and it'd probably be about 10 states with a major blue, okay, the deep blue, okay. It's probably going to be an ugly blue that you're going to see that is going to be around. And that blue, all right, is going to blow up hard. That's what I think is going to happen in October. And you know what? So be it. Here in Florida, got no problem. Probably be able to vote if the polls are open. I mean, I don't know if you're going to have voting equally for everybody in every city or every state based upon what the fear and loathing and projection and the fear porn and the poison and the paralysis that they're going to lay down. That's what they're going to do. That's what they have to do. It's the only way things are going to move forward. Let me show you this. There's another wackadoo. Okay, socialism. Francesca Hung is running for governor of Wisconsin. This woman is bipolar, by the way. She's been institutionalized. All right, she aired this commercial of her restaurant that had failed, shut over a year, and sued by Capital One for $30,000 in unpaid debt, and her parents had to pay her, and only income was from politics. My God, watch this.
It's so stressful to get by these days, and I know a lot about stress. I work in restaurants. I started in this kitchen 15 years ago, and you might recognize what's across the street. A lot of people in that building don't get why it's so hard to get by right now. Working hard doesn't mean you can always keep up. One wrong step can lay you out flat. This is by design. I'm State Representative Francesca Hong. I'm a service worker, community organizer, and a mom. I work for a living. Always have, still do. 5 years ago, my community sent me to the Capitol. The system is rigged. I'm running for governor to fix it. For years, we've been told that doing better isn't possible.
This is the same broad who said, I couldn't wait to get out of Culver's. And Culver's got good hamburgers, you know? I don't eat dine at these places and stuff. I think my wife picked me up one time. But she said there's too many white people nestled in this Culver's place. And it made her uncomfortable and disgusted. This is the person that's running for this position as governor. It's gross. It's ugly. Can you imagine if a white person said, hey, you know what? Yeah, I was in this shit part of town and it was all black and brown and it smelled like shit. It's disgusting. But vote for me. I'm running for a governor. Even though you might be right or correct. But this batshit crazy broad is showing her true self. Basically saying, you know what? Yeah, I can't be in a Culver's restaurant, which is basically what? A burger joint. Because there's too many white people. Old white people. She made that point. Yep. Bipolar woman off her meds. Oh boy. She once told me, if one step off, I will gut you like a pig. Yeah, she's crazy. She's a Looney Tune. She's batshit crazy, ladies and gentlemen. I'll play the rest of this.
Well, let me tell you, that's bullshit. All we need to do is fight together. We can fully fund our public schools and have universal childcare. We can guarantee paid leave and have cheaper healthcare. We can fix a rigged system that puts oligarchs over workers and small businesses. We can do better. Don't let anyone tell you we can't do this. We can build a Wisconsin where we share the table. I'm Francesca Hong.
There's no white people. Oh, wait, there's a white person. There was one white person in there.
Together, we make better possible.
Yeah, sure you do. Sure you do. Of course you do. What possible and for who? For whom? I mean, honestly, what a joke. What an embarrassment. Okay. And that person, I don't know. Is she leading in the polls? Some people say she is. I don't know what that is. It's totally disgusting in some way. But the fact is that her commentary, all right, and the fact that she has bipolar and she was on meds and she was institutionalized like Laura Loomer was in some way, and she's running for governor. If you're a Wisconsin, oh my God, you got some problems over there. Wisconsin voters need to check into a background. Is she foreign born? Exactly. What do we say? Remember I was joking around about Stephen Wright the other day, back in the late 80s, early 90s. He did that comedy. Remember, before cell phones and everything else, he'd say, sure, fine, all Japanese people don't carry cameras. And that was back in like the late, like 88, 87, 88. So that was before cell phones with everybody had a camera on. He also used to say all Mexicans don't have oil paintings in their house and stuff. Well, I say today, all right, aren't all Chinese people in the United States? What? No, fine, sure. They're not what? They're not spies? Exactly. Check her background. You guys are funny, but that's the point. That's a caveat about that. Who is she? But her parents had to bail her out. She owned a business and she went under. How are you going? Just that alone. Okay. And I know people have gone broke over and over again, but then her parents had to bail her out. And then her only job is from her being a state rep that she's got paid from. You know, all the failed socialists, all the people happen to be in the hospitality industry. Okay. And didn't make it. We're not talking about like Emeril Lagasse or all these other people that are, you know, that are brilliant chefs and restaurateurs and hotel magnates and stuff. We're not talking about those people who excelled. We're talking about the people that failed, that actually run for office, okay, for high positions, governor and senator, you know, where they sit on boards to help what, you know, about taxes and about like what, finances for American people and small businesses. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Here's Bill Maher coming back around with some other stuff. This is him on Fauci. This was a good one. He says, Bill Maher reads Anthony Fauci's diary. This was fantastic. Let me play this. This was really good.
I got some of the Fauci, and for the people who say, you know, Trump, you know, he just lives by people kissing his ass. I got some of the Fauci, this is from Fauci's diary, compared to some of the things Trump has said. Trump, a strong man, came up to me, tough kind of a guy. He said, I want to thank you, Mr. President. He had tears coming in his eyes. Fauci, the nurses went absolutely wild to see me. They were squealing and laughing and clapping. It was something to behold. Trump, I've been on the cover of Time magazine 14 or 15 times. I think we have an all-time record. Fauci, many print profiles and features on me. Ridiculous, too many to count.
Wow.
Fauci, I'm such a valued spokesperson and a good communicator. Trump, I have a very good brain. So I'm just saying.
But see how Trump says these things? He says it in tongue in cheek. He says it in such a comedic way as bluster and banter, as farcical. You know what I'm saying? In such a way, Darla gifted the can. We have another problem. Americans are fat and lazy, want to sit home on their devices and order poison from DoorDash. Absolutely. Garbage food. Make your own food. Make your own food. It's the only way. It's the only way, only way, only way. Who else is here? Let me think. Yeah, I see you. Aloha, Mom. Yeah, I'm glad YouTube's working. I mean, I guess Rumble's not. I don't know why. Darla gifted the can. Thank you. We so far good on the sound. This is the best chat ever. Thank you for keeping us updated, connected. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Again, I apologize. I'm working through the kinks. We're probably going to switch over to Riverside. It's a streaming platform. You'll see what it is, and it offers so much more, so much better than StreamYard. Super D gifted the cookie. Sean Joe for the cookie. Thank you. Darla for the can. Divide and Conquer is the last thing. Super D for the cookie. I see you. Another 219 gold pills, my friend. Wood USA, how you doing over there? I responded to you on X. We are on X. We are Rise Free. Also, the thing is, you could stream for free on all these platforms with this Riverside, which I'm really looking into. So I'm really, really excited and geeked up about moving over to another streaming platform that is not going to be problematic, that I can stream from everywhere, anywhere, okay? And it won't be a problem. All right, moving on. So here we go. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts because it's almost 10 o'clock. And I don't want to keep you here too late. All right, but I really want to get into tonight's a masterclass of poison and bloodletting and Anon, schisms, divide and conquer. We're going to get into how dark this is and where we're going with this. And this is in regards to the dumpster fire fight between Laura Loomer, Michael Flynn, the masterclass and this pointless bloodletting, a peak performance of dumpster diving, so to speak. I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about this because this is what you see on X. And it's almost embarrassing in a lot of ways. I mean, we've gotten to the point where it's ugly. It's very ugly. It's sickening that we're dealing with this on a daily basis, that we continue on with the circle jerk or circle firing squad, that people like this, you have Anons dipping off, you have Anons pointing the fingers, everybody's like at each other's throat. There's a lot of seppuku in there, which is the self-immolation. People are just basically suiciding themselves with their commentary. All right, who's FAR registered, who's not FAR registered? Yeah, it's embarrassing. So former NSA Michael Flynn tells Laura Loomer to join the army after, let me get to that because I got all these notes, after she calls for the U.S. to give Ukraine access to Patriot missiles. Now, she went over to see Zelensky, had a good conversation with them, promoting and towering that. And President Trump, as you saw, what did he say at Camp David? No, we're not going to give them the rights to our Patriot missiles, nor are we going to give them the blueprints on how to fucking make them. No, that's out the door. But nevertheless, and nonetheless, you had Larry Loomer over there pushing that nonsense. So the former National Security Advisor, Flynn, snubbed Laura Loomer after she called for providing Patriot missiles to Ukraine after all this stuff. Now, you had this just is unfurling out. President Trump said what he said at Camp David. So the National Security Advisor, former retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, took issue with Laura Loomer after she advocated for providing Patriot missiles to Ukraine. The conservative media personality recently traveled to Ukraine amid the country's military conflict with Russia. Loomer interviewed President Zelensky during his her visit. He's Jewish, and pushed for supporting Ukraine in her recent tweets. On July 26th, Loomer shared a lengthy post on X. This is where the fight got really, let's just say, punched up, and called on the U.S. to provide Patriot missiles to Ukraine. Let me blow this up. If you guys can't see it, I gotta get you guys to see it. And called on X the U.S. to provide Patriot missiles to Ukraine. Loomer's Ukraine trip and her advocacy for the nation, however, drew criticism from many. Former National Security Advisor Flynn also reacted to Loomer's demand. Laura, join the army and see the real world. In the meantime, stop talking about things you clearly do not understand. You're also beyond bias at this point. Of course, Larry hits back after running to bomb shelters in Ukraine myself several times since being here due to Russian ballistic missiles being launched toward my direction. After feeling my chest tighten, I was awoken in that. So she's basically telling Michael Flynn, relax. All right. I was dealing with this craziness that was happening. We were being bombarded by Russians. Laura, join the army and see the real world. So here's what Loomer shared on X. It's time for the U.S. to give Ukraine access to Patriot missiles. Again, President Trump said, nope, we're not doing that. And that was just yesterday or Friday. After running to the bomb shelter in Ukraine, whatever, all right, Russian ballistic missiles being launched toward my direction. And after watching the devastation and destruction of American businesses in Ukraine by Russian ballistic missiles, it's my opinion the United States should give them. Sure it is. Who is she, all right, to, let's just say, proclaim that? I mean, honestly, who's she speaking on behalf? All right. She doesn't work for the State Department, Defense Department. She's not in a position. Who is she to suggest that in some way, to proffer that? OK, was she doing that? Is she even registered as a foreign agent, or he in some way to do this? We know that he or she is getting paid from somebody. Citing U.S. officials and Ukrainian intelligence, she accused Russia of providing targeted intelligence to Iran against the U.S. The Loomer Unleashed host argued that providing Patriot missiles to Ukraine would deter Russia and slow down the spread of multipolarity. I hope Ukraine is given Patriot missiles, blah, blah, blah. I never thought I would say this, but I truly believe this is urgent and necessary. So she went over there, stipulating on behalf of the administration in some way, saying, yeah, I'm going to try and influence, peddle that nonsense so you can get what you need. Trump's like, no. Loomer has completely reversed her stance on Ukraine. She admitted to the Ukrainian president while interviewing him she was previously what? Against him, and blamed the Russian propaganda for being anti-Ukraine. Oh, how quaint. Flynn also has expressed his apprehensions about the U.S. funding for the Ukraine war, obviously. No one likes the Ukraine war. No one likes the Iran war, okay? But wrote that Ukraine is the crossroads of Europe and that U.S. money is being ripped off to solve the issues with no clear end in sight. I agree with that. I'm not a Flynn fan, but I'm also not a Larry Loomer fan. And I think she's totally, or he's totally wrong in this matter, all right? And I'll get to that. There's also another war that has to end. The U.S. needs to find a graceful exit out. Prolonging this war has real potential to lead to a nuclear exchange. Laura Loomer responds to Flynn. After Flynn has snubbed Laura Loomer's demand, the conservative influencer fired back. She questioned Flynn on whether he would prefer Ukraine to be destroyed by ballistic missiles, followed by a full-scale Russian war. So you prefer to see Ukraine destroyed, Loomer recounts, by ballistic missiles conquered by Russia, and then a full-scale war by Russia on NATO members and increased aggression toward the U.S. as Russia helps Iran kill U.S. soldiers. Loomer continues on slamming the NSA, remarking, anyone who looks at the social media these days, you could see they're more happy of multipolarity and decreased American dominance. It's interesting how anytime I call out our adversaries, all right, in some way, you are in my comment section. All the people dismissing what I'm saying here, very telling, and perhaps we weren't wrong. So she goes on, or he goes on, and they're all sit there, they're all slinging mud at each other. And I have a breakdown of this analysis in a lot of ways, because this in some way, all right, when you understand how this is being laid out, why this is being laid out, in what form, why are they discussing this in some way? So a couple of things here. I want to lay out right now. I want to give you my take, and then I'll give you a little bit more analysis of what I want to say. So what are we witnessing here? What are we experiencing in this matter here? All right. Is this for us or for them? Consider that. Is this the dialect of accusations, allegations, and complaints of bias about foreign agency fealty, personal grifting, and betrayal? This is the classic MAGA influencer war. It serves no purpose. It increases the level of circular firing squads, where past alliances dissolve under loyalty and ideological scrutiny. The clash only compounds and intensifies and amplifies the 25 and 26 factualism, isolationist voices like Carlson, MTG, Massey, and the Flynn-style voices versus those who are more open to selective intervention or specific with adversary, especially with linked to Iran and Israel. So basically, people that have specific points of view where they want to target, and non-interventionist points where we don't want to do the rest of the world in some way, like we previously did under Bush. We also have this post-power shift with President Trump in office that's happening. And everybody's climbing over each other, okay, in some way to garner and gather not only his support, his fealty, his loyalty, his trust, and get his acknowledgement, his hat tip in some way. While simultaneously, they're doing this, okay, behind the perception management of being far registered or not. Now, General Flynn is FARA registered. He's registered as a licensed foreign agent. So in some cases, this is not a big deal. But Laura Loomer is not, or Larry Loomer. So the question is he, Larry Loomer, or she, weaponizing and employing it to strike down those who she don't like what they say? And that's the point. All right. Again, I'm not defending one or the other in this matter, but I think she's totally, let's just say, beyond her depth in discussing this, or in some way, I think in some way, she's out of bounds. Who is she to make sure that she can make certain caveats about certain things when she has not signed up for a foreign registered agent? And so she goes over to talk to Zelensky, okay, talking to him about what? Blowing smoke up his ass about what? Tickling his balls and saying, hey, we'll give you Patriot missiles. I'm over here on the behest of the administration. This is what they're talking about. If that's the case. And I'm not implying that is the case. But either way, the way this is playing out is disgusting. It's just ingenuous. And I think, unfortunately, the problem that we're facing here that a lot of people see is that this is part of another psyop that we have to deal with left and right. And I don't like this one bit at all. And I want to say this right now, why I don't like this, why I think this is disgusting in some way. Because the way Laura Loomer has put this out, in some way, to clash with Michael Flynn, all right, one being a registered foreign agent, the other not being, collecting a paycheck or not from God knows who, all right, you have purity tests, you have personal vendettas, you have extreme animus over cringeworthy riffs of ongoing, never relenting calls for disloyalty. And that's what this is about. I mean, that's what it's all about. They're all about pointing fingers at each other. You're disloyal to Trump. You're not this. You're not that. In the broader context of understanding this, all right, this clash sits with the larger 2025-26, I said, isolationist and factionalism that is going on. And I think that what is reprehensible that we're facing is that Ukraine, which remains a flashpoint precisely to this at this moment, as a caveat where she went over there in some way, it tests the tensions between the anti-globalist restraint and confronting revisionist powers that are happening at the moment. So, look, is this a microcosm of unresolved MAGA contradictions on foreign policy? How much risk and resource commitment is acceptable against specific threats, which defines bias or expertise? All right. I think the personal animus and histories that fuel this public purity spirals into what? A deep dark. And I think what we're doing is we're getting into personal attacks, and that the consistent isolationist argument that is persisting is growing because people see that we cannot stop this in any way. We cannot in some way look differently about discussing this other than what? Attacking them, calling them out for who they are as traitors, as, you know, as people that are backstabbers in some ways. But I think this doesn't help our situation when in regards to what I'm talking about and what we're experiencing right now. This is the problem we're having. So it is Colonel Towner Watkins puts this out. Yesterday, Loomer was all in for Russia. Today, she's all in for Ukraine. You see the point? And General Flynn, who actually fought and defended the U.S., it has been widely reported that General Flynn was briefed and subsequently debriefed for intelligence purposes about this trip. Now, that's interesting. It has nothing to do with the soft spot and everything to do with what? Getting him what? Up for the Russia collusion or scam and getting him removed as the NSA, because having someone familiar with the shenanigans of DIA and CNI would have been what? A threat to the insiders running a covert government trap on Trump. Be sure Loomer is totally MAGA. Okay. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's how they're prefacing these things. That's how they're making the argument. And again, I stand back and I chuckle at all this stuff because I'm laughing. I put it on X that there's nothing more, I think, hilarious and sad and disgusting that this type of chaos continues on while many other people, the America First group, the isolationist wing, or many of these other people continue to move on with their platform, gaining ground, and what? Basically continue on with the subterfuge and sabotage while this type of peak nonsense continues on. And all we're doing is what? We're sabotaging ourselves. We're undercutting ourselves in some way. To allow this type of bullshit and rhetoric to go on is almost that, where people are saying, you know what? I'm walking away from this. I want to walk away from this. And Anons are basically what? They're eating themselves alive. They're cannibalizing one another because they're siding either with Flynn or Loomer. And he said, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of any one of these things. You know, and that's the beauty of this. You start to see who people are truly paid and bought from. All right. That's one, let's just say, imagination, one thought. But here's Brian Cates. He puts this out, although it may be uncomfortable fact for some, but it's been a matter of public record since October that General Flynn is a paid foreign agent of the Republic of Spurska. He's been a matter of public record. He's compensated $100,000 a month. Wow. For his part-time contracted work. And that since October, with his initial payment, may have earned his $900,000 as a foreign agent as Spurska. Okay. You know, whatever you may think about this, I keep my thoughts to myself. He did the right and proper legal way. Yeah. What did the Clintons do? What did Hillary Clinton do when she sold Uranium One? How about Barack Obama? How about any of these other people? All right. That made fortunes after they left, doing how many shady deals? Selling out to the Chinese, to the Russians, to you name it. All right. Like I said, I'm on my own island about this, but I you know what? If that's all you have to do to be a registered foreign agent, and this is what it is, and whether you're briefed by the administration or not, before you say anything or promise anything, or what you can and cannot say that doesn't violate any laws, well, there you go. Maybe Larry Loomer should think about this before you go over to what? Zelensky and promise this guy missiles that are never going to happen unless she was told to say that. And this is now what? Blowing up in her lap. I digress and I continue on. Let me move out of this because I am just utterly fucking just annoyed and disgusted. And that's part of the show that we're having tonight because I just want to show you the fallout of many people here that are just disgusted with a lot of this. Here's Larry Loomer right now talking about it. Well, I get along with Vice President Vance. I publicly said he had a brilliant political future if he makes the conscious decision to surround himself with better people. But we need to be honest about his friendship with Tucker Carlson. So here it is. Here's part of this.
And I get along.
Backstabbing and betrayal and all these different things in some way. And she's using this argument as a counter narrative to attack slowly as a soft underbelly to the negotiations, to the discussions of what it means for JD Vance to get the head tip. Like in some way, you need a nod from her, okay, in order to move forward because your friendship, your not fealty or loyalty to Tucker Carlson or anything. But see, this is how things are unraveling. Everything is so interconnected and intertwined, all right, that is basically blowing things up. Let me play this.
Very well with the Vice President of the United States, but I think his biggest political liability and the biggest detriment to social cohesion within the MAGA movement and cohesion within the GOP as we head into these perilous midterm elections is making sure that you don't have this albatross around the party's neck. And I'm talking about Tucker Carlson. I think that JD Vance has a bright political future, but he, is allowing his friendship with Tucker Carlson to drag him down. And we need to have moral clarity, and we need to reject certain people from our party who are, hell-bent on destroying what it means to be an American and what it means to be a member of the MAGA.
So basically, she's saying that JD Vance, in order for him to arise to the occasion and get the support from Israel or many other people, AIPAC, he has to denounce Tucker Carlson that is his friend, okay, in some way. That's what they're saying. And this continues on with the narrative that we're going to show you that a lot of people are responding to and saying, this is just getting ridiculous. Because now what you're doing is you're telling people who you can align with, who you can be friends with. And if that's not possible, so whoever you are, 6 degrees of separation you're associated with, you could become an outlier of a problem because people of peaked, let's just say, anger and frustration may not like your associates so well. And that's what we're seeing. So now, instead of having a discussion that's a true debate in some way, is that they're just going to do the same thing they did with COVID. Well, that person is unvaccinated. They need to be shunned and shamed, and we need to throw them out the fucking door. We need to beat the shit out of them. We need to hold them down. We need to do everything we can to excoriate them. Well, now this is popping up in the same fashion that they're trying to do the same thing that JD Vance is saying. Hey, look, until you renounce your friendship or your particular relationships with certain people that are not MAGA in any way, that are critical of the administration, or in some way, in this case, a lot of these people are anti, let's just say, Israel. All right. And until you kneel to us in some way, bow to Zod in some way, then you will not be looked at in a serious matter. Thus the divide that they're trying to prop up Marco Rubio in some way and cause this rift and to suggest that there's bigger problems afoot and to dispel a narrative to undercut the 2020 election. And all that does is help the Democrat Socialist America that undercuts a certain rhino cuck nation of America First that some way lost their way. They don't like certain things that are going, and they can't continue on with the discussions. Here's more about what I want to show you. Here it is right now. So this is what other people are getting pissed off about. So, of course, he did. I'm trying to tell you, this comes from Truth Debates, that all about Flynn, even Cash's girlfriend tried telling you. You have no idea how bad it is. These accounts promoting Flynn are stuck in the past. Flynn flipped on Trump with Junior and playing both sides. Trump didn't pick him, and now he helps 2028. To be fair, in this moment, they were both they were there to both speak at some gun Second Amendment rally or something of that matter. So he flew into Iowa yesterday to give a speech. Randomly, they ran into their favorite patriots. Okay. Maybe they did. They took a picture together. There you go. You people still pushing General Flynn, been bamboozled. They're playing both sides with Flynn Jr. and the networking connection point the other side. Who is electing us? Trump didn't pick Flynn, so he said Q was evil, PSYOP, Catholics for Catholics, blah, 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 this is that. So there you go. There's a lot of people out there that don't like General Flynn. They believe that General Flynn is another person in some way that has abandoned President Trump, that has undercut him in a lot of different ways, supporting candidates against President Trump. And a lot of people are starting to recognize that in this manner. That's fine. That's fine. You could sit there and say the same thing that I'm suggesting right now and look at it from a real clear point that, yeah, did General Flynn support candidates that Trump was putting up in some way? Yeah. All right. Is it a big deal? Has he undercut the president in a lot of ways? Does he feel slighted in so many ways? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's in his mind. I don't know what he's thinking in some way. I'm neither here or there with Flynn. Okay. All I know is that when the argument comes up about this schism, okay, between Anons and people suggesting that who is a let's just say a foreign agent versus a non-foreign agent, I would say just be careful about who you point the fingers for. He is, all right, he makes his money that way. There's no problem with it. It's legal. So I don't understand why Larry is making a big argument. You're kind of almost hypocritical and opportunistic to go after someone like that when you yourself has not what in some way. Yes, he never criticizes him. Look, like I said, I'm neither here or there. Okay. I'm from the outside looking in, central casting happening everywhere. Absolutely. This is from Ariel. He puts this out. Do you see what you had to go through to get to this point? There's so many people on so many different sides. There are a lot of people who don't want to side with Larry Loomer, but they don't like General Flynn either. And they're putting this out. You're seeing the Flynn Network come out in direct defiance against Trump. Yeah, the America First people. Do you see how easy it is for me not to have to go into some long-winded explanation as to why they shouldn't be trusted? If Michael Flynn were helping Donald Trump do anything, you wouldn't have to try to break our brains as to why they're aligning themselves with people who want Trump out of office. Okay. Alex Jones came out and directly. I don't even want to hear about Alex Jones. All right. The guy has just lost his fucking mind, calling for Trump's impeachment. He's lost. I mean, you have Roger Stone even telling him to fuck off. All right. So again, we don't know if this is a psyop and miso-op, perception management, deception management, all these people playing a part to create this stir, this hullabaloo. Yeah, it's all central casting. I mean, it's almost comical in some way. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing from the outside. All of them tried to take down Donald Trump, January 6, 2021. Alex Jones, Flynn, Charles Flynn, Nick Fuentes. Yeah, Nick Fuentes was never arrested. He was outside the Capitol building. How come he wasn't arrested? Seth Cashel, James O'Keefe, Ali Alexander, Brian Gamble, Ann Vandersteel, she was there. Ivan Raiklin, he was there. Enrique Otero, he was arrested, etc. As a matter of fact, Mr. Terrio said on the note that he set up January 6th to frame Donald Trump. Well, again, you don't know who's bad or not. You don't know. There's leeches and parasites, vipers everywhere. Was in Casablanca. Remember, he's pickpocketing the guy, and he goes, you got to be very careful. There's vipers everywhere. Meanwhile, he's pickpocketing them. Great movie. All right, but that's the point. He said Earl Matthews confirmed when he testified on oath that Charles Flynn was on the phone with Michael Flynn, and when they called off the National Guard. Do you remember this? When Michael Flynn personally told me to go read all the court filings. Well, the first one started with the January 6th deposition. You want to know why he started and stopped there? Because he pleaded the fifth over 200 times. Okay. Like I said, I'm a bystander standing outside of all this stuff, all this noise in so many ways. In some way, I can give two shits. It doesn't affect me in any way. I don't care. I don't sit there and try to like wreak havoc who I can trust and don't trust. I already know that. I don't have to state that. I don't have to claim that. And I keep my distance from that. But the other thing is, silence is golden. You don't have to advertise your personal opinion 24/7 in regards to attacking somebody and undercutting their viability. Okay? Be careful, because that could boomerang around. Thank you, Darla, for the can. Well, I can't stand Larry Loomer or Tucker, MTG, or Candace, all CIA operas. The point now that we're seeing is now the divide and conquer is in our face. The next thing after betrayal, is what? Okay? What is that? Them choking on whose bones? Their bones? Possibly. It's possibly about that. Let's continue on. All right, move out of this. Here's what the big hullabaloo this weekend was about. All over X Saturday night. I guess Tucker Carlson had a soiree MTG meets up with Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey to plot a new political party. But here's the thing. You got Massey and his new Democrat wife. You got, there's Brian Glenn from, what do you call it? Is Kent there? And that's his new wife or whatever. All these people are not in any positions of power. So who do they work for? I mean, honestly, what do you call it's going to be gone? Massey's going to be gone in November. Okay? He's going to be gone. He's going to be gone soon. So wherever the next candidate is. So these people have no power, no position. So what are they plotting? Who are they plotting in some way? I mean, do they think they're like some suicide squad trying to take down Adolf Hitler during World War II? Remember, a secret coalition, a faction of groups that didn't like Hitler and they tried to kill him and assassinate him. And they think that these are the people. They think in some way they have a right to do whatever they can to undercut this stuff. These people should not be taken seriously. I also think they're a distraction, and I don't really necessarily believe what we're hearing. Now, Massey, okay, Massey to me, he's full retard out there. Okay. MTG has turned into something that you could tell who she is, a grifter. There's no doubt about it. And she's towing the line. She's getting paid to do it. Tucker Carlson, I don't know if he's bringing these people together or he's also part of the grift as well in some way. But a lot of these people that are, let's just say, that are trying to flank the MAGA movement in some way are losing, I think, a lot of their power, a lot of their star power, a lot of their points of view. A lot of the people that are supporting them, look who they are, Fuentes, Alex Jones, they're all jumping on the side. We're starting to see who the people are that have basically turned their back on President Trump. And that's it. I stand with Trump. I don't stand with any of these people. I mean, I used to like Tucker. He made some good points here and there. But again, he's aligning himself with people, all right, that have negative, let's just say, and ill will intentions. And all they're doing is undercutting this administration, dividing and conquering, and stabbing people in the back, left and right. And also, this also goes to the whole thing about spreading this disease, this rot throughout the movement. And all it does is, in the end, it's going to undercut the administration, undercut MAGA, and that's their plan. They want, in some way, to have some type of hand, okay, that they can wield some power in some way, that their voices will change in the midterms and help redirect the party in some way in 2028. I don't know where that is. A lot of them like this is part of what Larry Loomer is saying in regards to the vice president. So Green posted this picture on Saturday, and her new husband, Brian Glenn, sitting in a wooden table, heading by Carlson. Another ex-fan of President Trump, Joe Kent, former director, Massey's wife, were also seated at the table. Everyone appears to be pretty jolly in the picture and focused on their mission to upend American politics. We said no more foreign wars, and we meant it. It supported Donald Trump because he made that promise and because he's betrayed all of us. That's the bottom line. Again, we talk about betrayal. We talk about conquering and dividing in some way. We said no more foreign wars, and we meant it. Supported Donald Trump because he made that promise. All right. And really what this is that this is a crowd who doesn't like the state of Israel at all. Doesn't like the fact that AIPAC is involved in our politics. They also believe that Netanyahu influenced President Trump to go to war with this stuff. All these different things. I mean, you don't have to like Israel. I don't like the state of Israel. I don't like the people that run it. Okay, one bit. All right. But that doesn't mean I have to align myself with these people, these clowns in some ways. And also, a lot of this stuff is not backed up by any truths. They throw a lot of slander out there to undercut a lot of different things. They're not backed up. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but he didn't say no new wars. All right. He didn't say that. But I'm not going to sit there and defend Iran war. All right. The idea that we're going to push boots on the ground and all this other stuff, it's nonsense. I think a lot of people are just trying to end this thing rather quickly. And I think a lot of people are worried. Republicans are worried because we're getting to the midterms. Again, I don't think we're going to have the midterms, not in the way you think it's going to happen. But I also consider that the idea that any discussion revolving Iran right now, that's why it's on again, off again, on again, off again in so many ways that a lot of people are saying, look, this is never going to come to an end. It's going to continue on to next year. There'll be boots in the ground. They'll have a draft and then we're screwed. And then they're waiting till after the election and get prepared and get ready. And that's how people are selling this. That's how they're selling this. That's the move that's all over YouTube. That's all over that's all over X. I hear it on a daily basis. Darlell, thank you for the can. So a third party, these people are stupid. Please, people don't fall for it. Yeah, third party don't win anything. It never wins anything. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, look, before President Trump, I think a lot of people I wasn't a Republican, but I wasn't a Democrat either. You know, I didn't vote for Bush or Obama. I didn't vote for Gore or John McCain. You know, I voted for Bob Dole. That was, 96. I was young, super young. But, I mean, sometimes you don't have choices. And when you get to the final tally between an opponent that's a primary winner that you may not like, that you didn't even support, going up against some batshit lunatic, crazy Democrat, socialist, communist, you're going to take the person that you didn't vote for in the primary. You're just going to do it. You're going to have to do it. You have no choice in the matter. It's like Vivek Ramaswamy. You're going to have to hold your nose at that stinky ass motherfucker. You're going to have to. You have no choice because the option B, is much more pervasive. It's much more disgusting. All right, let's continue on. I got to fast forward this because I don't want to be behind here. Thank you, Darla, for the can. Would you say thank you for the 719 gold pills? Need more gold pill love? Well, thank you for your support. Thea, thank you for the 300 gold pills. I appreciate it all. All right, let's continue on. All right. Where we are right now. So they're putting all these creepy pictures out of this is what's that's spawned out of everything that's going on X. Seriously though, Tucker doesn't look well. Pray for him. And then they're like suggesting that he's drinking that wine that's not even in front of him. There's a cup there. Laura Loomer's saying, "See, he's drinking again and stuff." No, he's not. Okay, but he does. I mean, that picture looks kind of creepy. It does look a little weird. You know what I'm saying? It looks like he's got to take a shit or something like that. It looks like he's constipated a little bit. I don't know about demon possessed. I mean, he says he's gone through those things. All right, let's move on because I'm tired of talking about, all the wingnuts that are out there on both sides. Okay. And, I'm really just sick of it. But this is something that really bothered me. And look, I don't know if it was a great move, a wise move to move Noam out, Greg Vivino out. I'm not the president. I don't make those things. But this guy always finds a way to trip over his own dick and fall right onto his what? I mean, honestly, this guy does he even listen to the shit he's saying? Why were you at the National Governors Association summer? This comes from Kevin Bass, meeting today, saying the exact opposite of what you're posting now. Did you suddenly radically change your mind about America's immigration policy in the past couple of months? If you're mentioning amnesty, it's only one of two things. If this is coming from him or people inside the Homeland Secretary office, the Homeland Department of Homeland Agency, or is this coming from the administration? One of these things have to be explained. Because the American public's not going to deal with it. I told you. I mean, you have to move these people. And I told you the most problematic people are out there are not necessarily the murderers, rapists, thugs, the killers and stuff. They are. But they're not the ones that we should worry about. I'm talking about the ones that are nestled in like a tick. Dug in like a tick. Okay? That hide away. Avoiding taxes. Grifting and grafting. Living off welfare. All this other stuff, they are the ones that have been here 10, 15 years that just seem to blend in the shadows and they hide. Those are the people who are more problematic because they squelch and they rip off our system. They leech off our system. They truly are the problems that we have. And that's what we're dealing with today. That's why all the fraud and all this other malfeasance that is continuing on, that has plagued our country and the debt that continues on. See, that is the problem we face. And then this schmuckola says this kind of dog shit, no amnesty for illegal aliens ever. We are a nation of laws. If you are illegally president of the United States, well, that's not what you said. He had to kind of preface this in a different manner, a different light. Let's listen to this.
New immigration reform. It's been since Ronald Reagan, since we had any kind of meaningful reform. That was amnesty. That wasn't even reform. Yeah. Well, governors want to be a solution, and we feel like we're closer. And what I think American public loves is the fact that me and the governor of New York, the governor of Oklahoma, the governor of New York, can agree on a lot of issues, and how can we present that, and how do you think through, is there potential to fix this?
So let me unpack that. Coming from 13 years, gosh, that was a long time, in the House and in the Senate. Listen, we haven't had actual immigration reform since 1959. There's a reason. It's political. Anything that becomes political, everybody in this room is political. We understand that. When it becomes political and becomes a red issue, a blue issue, it means it's dead. If this was easy to fix, it would have got fixed. If any side was wanting to compromise in it, the Biden administration could have done it in the first 2 years they were in office when they had full control of Washington, D.C., and then we could have done it when we had full control. The problem is that it's hard to get 60, it's hard to get an agreement, because no matter what you do, it's not good enough. And so we try to get perfection on immigration bill, and it's not perfection that we're looking for. Yes, we love perfection, but that's not what politics is about. It's about negotiating and getting the best option. Plug the holes that you can plug. I worked with no labels for 2 years. 2 years. What we did when we brought people in, and we met every 2 weeks on this issue. And what we said is, here's red lines for both sides, right, left, red lines. What's in the middle? We came with a pretty good solution in the middle. Really non-controversial. President actually was like, yeah. If you get leadership to sign off on it, yes, I'm good with it. We went to the Oval Office, sat down and talked to him. We'd take it to Jeffries, he'd make changes. We'd take it back to Schumer, he'd make changes. We'd take it back to Thune, they'd make changes. Take it to the Speaker's office, they'd make changes. And before you get back, now you're so far apart, you hadn't even got started. And so, is immigration reform possible? No. Do you really need immigration reform? Yes, you do. But can we work with the system we have? Yes. We have naturalization ceremonies every single day in the United States that federal government's open. We have hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, we're real close to 900,000 individuals that have been naturalized in the last 12 months.
And that's the problem. It's what I've said to you. Okay. He's the problem. The system's the problem. We need a moratorium on this. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. And all we're doing is what? Continually what? Perpetually ending ourselves, our demise. Who are these people that they're naturalized citizens? That the 14th Amendment has given people opportunity that the cockroaches keep spitting out. I just don't know where we're going to go. If anything, I don't care about Iran. I don't care. I don't care if he blew the shit out of it. I don't care if we seized it, whatever. But I care about this shit. This is the only thing that I fucking care about. Okay? Next to 2020 stolen election. But I think it's one and the same. Because a lot of these people that were voting were all illegal citizens. Okay? Criminal, illegal, alien scum that are on the voter rolls. And we know why. Look what happened in New Jersey. And the reason why they don't want to turn this over, because it's a lot more pervasive than they want to let on. It's worse than we can think. But yeah, let's just 900,000 people, almost 1 million a year. We just push through citizenship. It's a fucking outrage. This guy's a fucking joke. The whole thing's a fucking joke. That's one thing I get pissed off about. I don't really care about Laura Loomer and fucking what he called fighting. See, that is what we should be pissed off about. That's what we should be arguing about. But no one wants to talk about illegal criminal scum and all this stuff. No one wants to really address this problem. I don't care what he says about it. The president has the power to do these things. He could shut this down now. He can. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for Red October? Hopefully. Let the communists, the illegals, all the Cubans, all the illegals that are out there that Marco Rubio pointed out, that the Cuban infiltration that's all over the place. Let's go. Bring it on. Shut down the polling center. Shut it all down. I mean, if we don't see people just being thrown out of this country left and right, walked onto a plane and pushed out the door, no parachute, I don't know what's going to happen in this country. Are we going to make it? It's going to be a lot longer than you think it is. All right? It really is. And the question is, if President Trump doesn't do it or really gets a handle on it, are we going to wait around for J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, whoever else is going to be there? Are they going to want to push this further? I doubt it. I doubt it indeed. So the question is, where are we? Where are we today facing this nonsense? All right, there's not an uptick. This guy, Mark Wayne Mullen, when did he come to some realization about this in some way? Was this before or after you took this position? What a joke this guy is. I mean, honestly, bring back Kristi Noem. I don't know what else to say about it. I really don't know where we're going with this. I don't know how these things are going to, let's just say, move forward in a lot of ways. But a couple of things, and then we'll dip out of here. I just want to show you this. I saw this on Joe Rogan. Got a lot of traction. A lot of people talking about this. We're hearing a lot of different things about AI, DARPA, all these different things, the tech oligarchs we've been lied to. People are asking, where are we going with this, with the data centers? So this was something that stood out that a lot of people were talking about. I wanted to share it with you if you didn't see it. So So this is Anna Jacobson, just left Joe Rogan speechless. She had a private meeting with DARPA last week, and she changed her worldview. Okay, let's listen.
Listen, there's no way the Defense Department could have a threat in its airspace and not be dealing with it. And my position on that has changed, and I'll tell you why specifically. So in addition to being invited to the White House and the Senate last week, I was also invited to come talk to DARPA, which is like, you know what DARPA is?
Sure.
Which was very interesting because I wrote a book on DARPA called The Pentagon's Brain 10 years ago, and I couldn't get DARPA to call me back. I mean, I literally had to interview retired DARPA people. And then here they are saying, would you come to a Q&A with us on your bio book? And I was like, wow, times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they were seriously worried about, so I did a Q&A, but before that, they said, would you like to come sit in on like some of the smartest people, you know, talking about situations that are coming up right now? And you can come to the unclassified part of it. I said, by all means. So I went there, and there was serious concern about AI-enabled bio, right? So this seems like a digression here, but this is what I'm getting at. I'm leaning in because 10 years ago, I also would have told you DARPA, you know, is the leading science and technology military agency in the world. No one is more advanced. I said that with authority, and I believed it. And after attending this DARPA session and listening to them talk about how concerned they are about AI-enabled bio, and talking about how there is talk among the 6 CEOs of pulling the plug on AI-enabled bio, but they have to be able to get the 6 CEOs to agree first. It really took my breath away because I went, I am actually listening to the new reality that the CEOs of these AI companies have more power to make decisions about technology than the Department of Defense.
Wow. What I will say to this is the caveat that I'll make, because, you know, this is not a new revelation. This is not a new revelation. And I would argue in some way that goes back to the time back in, let's say, the 40s and 50s, and with many different people discussing the idea of the extraterrestrial crash retrieved, let's just say, artifacts. Was it Colonel Corsi? I think that's what it was. That in his book, he talked about how they went to all these, let's just say, higher education and corporations to look at this information and material that they, let's just say, came about, that was crash retrieved, that they found supposedly. And then from that, the technology grew out of that. And then there are many more scenarios where private corporations and institutions had helped perpetuate and create proprietary technology out of this. So the idea that this is something new, okay, you know, she's just basically saying that the weight of this is a lot more. But there's a lot of institutions that are out there that have technology, okay, that are far superior, far powerful, free. And think about the people that patented free energy and free technology. Think about what they're sitting on. It's never going to come out. Why? Because gas, oil, coal rules the world. They might even have those patents on them themselves, and they control it. But I digress. But I don't necessarily think that this is a new thing. I think with AI, I think that what's becoming more, let's just say, obvious now with the discussion with data centers and many other things and surveillance, the flock cameras and everything that's happening simultaneously is culminating into some type of giant boom scenario. And a lot of people are just kind of either underreporting or overhyping the scenario. Listen, I'm scared about AI too, because again, the parameters, there's no guardrails. We don't know who's in control, what they're in control of. We don't know what's going to be unleashed. We don't. We see elements of it. You know, we play with Grok and ChatGPT and Claude. We don't, the deep fakes, all these other things, the bots that are all over the place. Hell, I got hacked the other day. All the stuff that they're doing and phishing, all this stuff. I mean, I'm worried about, the technologies that are out there that can get out of control, okay, that are unleashed on purpose. And I don't know if many countries have a pact together. I don't know, just like we have a nuclear pact together. Maybe we have something in tow for a lot of countries to protect. I don't know. I really don't. But to think that it's just one scenario out of this many years that she's prefacing that the idea is that, that's been around for a long time. There are many corporations that were equally powerful, if not more powerful, than the United States government because they're working hand in glove. They're working hand in glove because at one point, for decades, we were what? There were black budget programs all over the place. A lot of the money was going out to all these corporations. Raytheon, EG&G, Lockheed, Skunk Works, you name it. All of them. You pick one, it doesn't matter. And what do? They help defense contractors. They help build new ships, new planes, new weapons. It's not that DARPA is the most powerful thing. What she's trying to say, she's saying that DARPA, even though it comes up with this amazing technology, all this stuff in some way, she thought, well, that's the cream of the crop. But no, these tech oligarchs that are in control of all these things, 5 or 6 people, have a lot of power. They do have a lot of power. But I don't necessarily think that that's always been the case. For some reason, of recent times, that has only escalated to a certain point because of what? Because of all the subsidies, all these different things that they were getting. I mean, look at Elon Musk. I mean, come on. Let's face it. He made a lot of his money off of subsidies, building these rocket ships, which helped what? Expand Tesla and expand his what? His dynasty, his mission here. He's got that Boring Company. So a lot of people, they diversify, they spread out with a lot of these things. We don't know what people have their hands in the till for or what they're with. We don't know. I mean, I just think that it's a misrepresentation to say it's only them. Okay. It's only them. I mean, could you argue that big pharma and biotech are not as not more problematic and more expansive and more less powerful? I mean, at least one point, they were controlling the world. Take the jab. They make all the medications. They do what? They help provide to keep people alive in a lot of different ways. Keep you going to the next stop. Aren't they more powerful? How about the gas and oil industry, which basically the world is consumed and runs on and addicted to oil and petroleum? I mean, who's to say that's not more powerful than what we're talking about here in some way? And that is going to eclipse them. So sometimes I see these things that are half-cocked and they can seem to be overproductive in a lot of ways, overmanaged in some way, over theatrical, or, they're just like, they're blown up to a lot bigger. I mean, are we to argue that the 6 or 7 oligarchs that control AI are bigger and more powerful than the oil and gas industry runs the entire, petroleum world? I mean, the world lives off of oil, off of gas. And these things are run on what? Electricity, sometimes water. I mean, a lot of these cooling plants and stuff. So when you think about it, without oil, gas, and coal, what are they to run on? You know, I mean, are they autonomous? We don't know what the type of energy that is going to be nestled or necessary for them to continue on. All right, one last thing, and we'll dip out of here. I saw this, and this is what I wanted to show you. Actually, I had stuff for the other thing, but I lost it because of everything that's going on. This is what the Daily Call is putting out. Fears of a U.S. draft grow as Selective Service modernizes. This is the push. I've heard this on YouTube. I've heard this on Rumble. I've heard a lot of people talking about this. And like I said, this is fear. This is poison. This is a paralysis. And what they're doing is that they're creating this type of environment, whether it's a forced manage to help like push against the discussion about the Iran war. And then you're starting to see the people like the hypocrites and opportunists that are America first and say, yeah, no new wars. And the next thing is, here comes the draft and that's it. You're all screwed. Good luck between ages of 18 and 30. I mean, that's what they're selling. So the U.S. Selective Service is responsible for managing U.S. draft and is currently pushing to modernize mechanisms that can make the draft a reality. Military Times reported as this event is closely timed with the escalation in the Russian, Ukrainian, and Iran wars. Interesting. Some experts have begun debating whether or not a draft could be looming. The draft can be as soon as a few years from now. Former Green Beret war correspondent Michael Young told Daily Caller News. Right now, they're probing and putting out there to make people used to the idea like we're okay, like we're just going to register now. Young told DCNF that it's all it is. So they've been floating this for a while. There is very little prospect for a traditional military draft of some sort of the country has relied upon previous eras. Peter Fever, professor of political science and public policy at Duke University, told the DCNF. A traditional military draft would hobble armed services with a logistical nightmare, a scheme of national service for which service in uniform is one of the many options. And it might be more practicable. I support such a scheme, but there's a scheme. You hear that? But there's little political momentum for it right now, or something like that. The Pentagon did not immediately respond to our request. I mean, who actually thinks you can have a draft right now? Right before the election. You think that's going to happen? Okay. I'm not saying what's going to happen in the future. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to need a draft in the future. But we all been signing up to Selective Service. We all did it, had to register when we're 18. You know, so the idea that this whole thing is a new concept, and that in some way they're ginning this up. And I think that with Iran and Ukraine in some way, they're making it more accessible for people to swallow that dirt slop. And I think so. I think so. And it's a poison pill. And I really do believe that it's undermining and undercutting, and they're pushing this narrative out purposely to undercut the election, to attack Republicans, especially the congressional Republicans that push this forward, with other Democrats that signed on to this in early, last year and this year. President Trump wisely does not remove options off the table, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said. And when asked about the possibility of draft in an interview, Maria Bartiromo, Fox News, it's not part of the current plan right now. He says it's not part of the plan right now. So what would it be of a current plan in the future? Why would we need to have one in a future? What would it take? What are they foreshadowing? That's one thing I wonder. I don't think anybody's seriously considering a draft. Jason Dempsey, a senior fellow at Center, but they always plan for these things. It's definitely not politically palatable, and the distance between where we are now and actually executing a draft is almost in the realm of impossible. Exactly. Think about the world we live in right now with the people that are just, and I think maybe in some way in the future, just like Star Troopers, was it Star Troopers? Is this Star Troopers? Remember they fight the bugs, the aliens and stuff? Well, if you want to become a citizen, you have to join the military. And I think that's where they're going with one of these things. I think so. I think they're starting that up in some way. There's a possibility that's next. And I do believe that's more probable than this. The request calls for simulation to recreate full mobilization pipeline, use anonymous data to support configured scenarios, and support complete government ownership and sustainment. I think there's little to no chance of reinstating the draft. There is no need except for occasional lows in recruitment, but a recruitment is up. So the Selective Service Systems fiscal 2027 budget has increased to $32.3 million from $31.3 million fiscal 2026. We have had a very significant drop-off in recruiting, and the age of population between 18 and 22 generally is seen as a result of the economic downturn and the crisis of 2008, when people just stopped having kids for just a while, Dempsey told DCNF. The most likely thing you're going to see is the military will continue to drop standards for recruitment, and there are many levers we'll pull before the draft. That includes waiving high school graduation, more waivers for previous drug use and criminal backgrounds that would otherwise disqualify them, and we'll give them waivers so they can have people join. And I also think that the idea, if you want citizenship, I think that's where we're going. Is it something to be alarmed about? Not necessarily. I wouldn't pay it any attention at the moment. But I think there are practical discussions in place about how to augment that in such a reality that's not a draft selectively, but more of an enticement, an inducement in some way, that people will be more comfortable. Hey, graduate high school, don't join the military. You don't have to go to college. If you want, you can go and join with us. We'll pay for it later. If you're not a citizen and you're in the process of being it, we can help solidify that and sell that. There are many different things that they're going to be dangling a carrot in that they can bifurcate and waver through. And I think, unfortunately, for those who don't like this, who find this problematic and stuff, think about it this way. It might be the best way to insulate a scenario or a series of events that could happen in the near future, that we won't have to do a selective draft in this manner, that you would have to have all these other things that are much more, let's just say, inducements. So that's our show for tonight. I want to thank everybody out there. Yeah, I know everything's messed up. Rumble, I got to go back and delete all that. I got to fix all that. Darlell, thank you for the can. I only know one thing for certain. These Luciferians are running the show. They don't give a damn about what you or I think. We need to make sure we're on to them and make our voices heard. There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that in a lot of different ways. It's not just the Luciferians. It's not just all that. Thank you, Sean Joe, for the cookie. Let me drop I'm going to drop all the... Hold on. Let me drop all the pills and stuff, see if it's working. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Yeah. No, I understand. But when I'm talking about the selective service that a lot of people are overlooking, is that if you want to avoid it in some way, and then there's a future pretense to avoid that the possibility of avoiding it is much more is less problematic in the sense of having a general draft. But I also think that it's more to do about enticing people, inducing people to sign up with certain, carrots on that stick for them to overcome whatever they're overcoming in some ways. And I think that's really where they're going with this. Let's see who else is here. Darrell, thank you for the can. Wood USA, thank you for the 719 gold pills. Thank you, Thea, for the 300. Super D, thank you for the cookie. Sean Joe for the cookie. All these people dropping stuff. I appreciate you guys being here and supporting the platform. I'm sorry about everything. We're going to get this fixed. I'm moving to another platform. Definitely getting out of StreamYard because they're not really working for me. Obviously, Rumble's not working, but YouTube did. I really don't know what's going on. I don't. Thank you, Darrell, for the 1.8, Wood USA for 1.1, and Thea for the 600. I know a lot of people are pissed off, man. They're unfollowing me. Right, Darrell? They're all pissed off. I don't blame them. Don't blame me. It was StreamYard. I had the show ready to go, and I don't know what to tell you. Well, that's it. I will return on Monday. Hopefully, we'll have zero problems. We'll get it even more squared away. Have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being patient. You take care. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening. Ciao, Bella, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.